time now for us to say what? Kawhi put Daniel Tice on a poster Wednesday night, but if you want a detailed description of the dunk, the Claw is the wrong guy to ask. Say what?
Kawhi, can you take us through the dunk you had in the block?
What do you want me to say?
Whatever you want to say. It's just more of just the build-up lead into that play, what you were seeing and your thought process with everything.
Patrick threw me the ball. I took 2 dribbles to the paint and tried to jump high and dunk the basketball.
That is what happened.
It is the truth.
It's not exactly Deshaun Watson breaking down the defense.
Yeah, remember that?
Absolutely not. Opposite end of the spectrum with that one. Did you put that reporter up to that question?
No. What's
okay.
wrong? What do you? That was given Kawhi. Listen, Kawhi had a really rough fourth quarter and overtime in that game, except for that dunk and that block.
Okay.
The reporter was kind enough. He didn't even say talk about. It wasn't the old talk about. He said, "Can you take us through it?" Listen, this I will not begrudge Kawhi this. Kawhi ain't a big talker. That's fine.
Life of the party, he's not.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, he is a fun guy.
We know that?
Yeah, we know Kawhi's a fun guy. He told the whole world he's a fun guy. We know he's a fun guy. He just doesn't love talking to the media. It's fine.
Okay.
Based on how he laughed after he said he was a fun guy, I have a hard time believing
that he's an actual fun guy.
No.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I didn't know if I could go after the laugh.
I'm rarely the Kawhi Leonard defender on this show, but listen, maybe around Serge Ibaka, on Serge's little cooking podcast situation, he seems very fun. You get him around his folks, people he's real comfortable with, he can be life of the party.
You ask him a question about a dunk, not such a fun guy.
Not so much.
Not a fun guy. On to America's game of the week, the Cowboys and Patriots from what will be a cold and rainy, maybe even a snowy Foxborough. Matchup with a team with the most yards on offense, the Dallas Cowboys, and the team that's allowed the fewest yards on defense, the New England Patriots. As we sit here today, Patriots, the touchdown favorites. All right, Nick Wright, who wins this game?
Wow, in the same segment, I'm going to defend Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to pick the Patriots in a big game.
What is happening?
Two rare things for me as of the last month. I like the Patriots in this game for 2 reasons more than any other. One is where the game is being played. Foxborough. We know the Cowboys have been a slow-starting team all year long, that even in games where they've come back to win, they haven't... Hell, this last week, you fell down 7-0 Jeff Driscoll. The week before, a game you didn't win, but you could have against Minnesota, you fall down 14-0, fell down to the Jets, fell down huge to the Packers, scored 3 first-half points to New Orleans. You're down at halftime against the Patriots, you're dead. 105 times since Tom Brady's taken over the Patriots have had a lead at halftime at home. They are 104-1.
Wow.
It is one of the most baffling, not even baffling, just mind-blowing stats you'll ever see. That's one reason. The other reason is this. The coaching discrepancy in this Canty is so enormous. To me, it more than offsets the talent discrepancy between the teams, which I think leans in the Cowboys' favor. I think the Cowboys have the more talented team at nearly every level, except for secondaries matched up with against each other, where the Pats have the best secondary in football. I think it's really interesting. These are the only 2 teams that have been favored in every game up to this point in the season. They're both 10 games played, 10 times they were the favorites. You know how I know the Cowboys are underachieving? You know how I know the Cowboys have not been really well coached? Patriots have taken those 10 times being favored, spun it into a 9-1 record. The Cowboys have taken those 10 games they're favored, spun it into a game better than 500. They're 6-4. They have underachieved given their schedule. They have underachieved given their talent. I don't think that's the type of team that's going to go into Gillette and win. If it were in Dallas, I might feel differently. But in that stadium with these 2 coaches, I really like the Patriots.
Well, that's what it comes down to, right? The 2 coaches and the 2 quarterbacks. I mean, in a tough spot, in a closely contested game, you have more confidence that Brady and Belichick will avoid making the critical mistake that would cost you an opportunity to win games. So I just look at this situation from the Cowboys standpoint. Knowing what the game plan for Bill Belichick will be defensively, they're going to try to take away Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to try to take away that Dallas Cowboys run game. And the question becomes, can those Cowboys receivers beat one-on-one coverage against Stephon Gilmore, against the McCourties? Can you win in those situations? And then can Dak Prescott deliver the football down the field with accuracy to his receivers consistently? That's what it'll be. The Cowboys are going to face a loaded front, 7- and 8-man fronts by that Patriots defense. Dak Prescott is going to have to perform at a high level in order to give his team a chance to be able to counteract what the Patriots are doing defensively. I just don't have a lot of confidence that Dak can go on the road in Foxborough and get that done.
Kenny, I want you to expand on something, because you said something really interesting there, because we know Belichick loves to take away what you do best, take away what you want to do. Despite the fact that Dak is an MVP candidate, despite the fact that the Cowboys' passing numbers are top 4 in football across the board, and Zeke's coming off maybe his worst back-to-back games of his career, you still think the smartest coach in the NFL, when he plays the Dallas Cowboys, says we have to worry about Zeke before we have to worry about Dak. We have to worry about the running game before we worry about the passing game. You still believe that?
I still believe that, and I think we've seen a large enough sample size in the Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott era of Cowboys football. When Zeke is in there for the majority of the games during the regular season, they win the division and they host a home playoff game. We saw that in years 1 and 3, respectively. This year, even though Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level and coming off of the best 3-game stretch of not only his career, but of any Dallas Cowboys quarterback ever, I mean, the answer is still being able to use Ezekiel Elliott to dictate the fronts and the coverages and the looks that you're seeing in order to be able to have production on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, it's not a question of whether or not Ezekiel Elliott can beat you. I think NFL teams understand that, and that's why Dak is having the kind of season he is, because he's throwing against favorable coverages where he should be able to get some production.
Dak may be having the best couple of games of his career. Ezekiel Elliott had put together 2 of the arguably the worst games of his career in back-to-back weeks. All right, so you both think the Patriots are going to win on Sunday. If the Cowboys do manage to pull off the upset, what would it mean for the organization?
Well, so that's really interesting. I didn't know you were going to ask that. For the organization, I think we disagree on Seattle and Philly. We both think it's a close game, but you like Philly, I like Seattle. They will have some measure of breathing room in the division. If the Cowboys win, it's either Philly. If they lose, you're 2 games clear of them having already beaten them. If they win against Seattle, you're still a game clear having already beaten them. But the organization, it'll be, listen, Jerry Jones will do 1,000 interviews, even, maybe 1,000 more than he normally does, and they will feel like this is the team we had been building towards being all year. But the person will mean the most for is Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is coaching for his job this season. Not this week specifically, but at some point, you got to beat a good football team. At some point, you got to beat a team that's going to be in the postseason if you're going to have any hope of postseason success. You guys give me a hard time, maybe fairly, about still believing in my hometown Kansas City Chiefs. One of the reasons I do, one of the few reasons, is because I have seen them this year beat teams that are going to be playoff teams, beat some of the best teams in football. The Cowboys have had plenty of opportunities. They got New Orleans without Drew Brees. They got Green Bay at home. They got Minnesota in a spot where you thought they could win on national television. They're 0 for 3 in those situations. You go to Foxborough and you beat the 9-1 New England Patriots, who are trying to stave off or hold off, pardon me, the Baltimore Ravens. Then you at least say, okay, the Cowboys' best can compete with the other best teams in football, which is something we haven't seen yet this year.
No, we haven't seen it this year. And when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles schedule, I see it hard being them not being able to get to 9 wins,
right,
even without the Dallas Cowboys game. So I think this is a game that could go a long ways in terms of the Dallas Cowboys being able to lock up the division. And so you recognize how important it could be for the future of not only the head coach, but also the quarterback. You're trying to figure out whether or not you're going to pay Dak Prescott north of $35 million a year. If you go to Foxborough and you beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, that goes a long way to making your case.
There's 2 games so far this season for Dallas that if we were just doing the old Mike and the Mad Dog go through the schedule, that's a win, that's a loss, that didn't go the way you would have predicted. And they've both gone the wrong way. You would have said the Jets game they should have won, the home game against the Vikings they should have won. They can get one of those games back here. Like if you're going into the year, even if you thought the Cowboys were going to go to the Super Bowl, one of the losses you penciled